Welcome to the Love Unplugged podcast. I'm your host, Jessica Frigon. You may know me from Project Love, where we focus on operational excellence, but here we go deeper. We're your go-to for raw, empowering conversations on entrepreneurship and stepping into your CEO role with love and confidence. Each week, we'll explore everything from mindset shifts, leadership, optimal wellness, to efficient systems, all within a community of visionary women like you. Ready to get real about building a business and life you love? Hit subscribe and let's start this transformative journey together. Hello, loves. Today I am joined by the lovely Olivia Austin. Olivia is the founder of Current Design Studio and Motive Deck, as well as the host of the Design Podcast. So she does it all. She has a lot on the go. She is a multi-passionate entrepreneur focused on helping designers and studio owners grow and scale profitable studios. Olivia's approach is not just about building an online business, but laying the foundations for a fulfilling career and life. She offers mentorship, step-by-step education, and resources for ambitious designers through her Design to Scale Mastermind program and other offerings. So welcome, Olivia. I am so honored to have you as my guest. I'm so excited to dive into your journey as an entrepreneur as well as your expertise. But for those that don't know you yet, I would love for you to start by sharing a little bit more about you personally.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me today. I'm so excited to chat with you and your community. So, my journey, oh my gosh, it's like hard to share without going so far back, but I will try to make it quick. But I do think that my personal journey is very relatable, and for anyone that's listening, they might, take little nuggets from it that and apply it to their own journey or find, any connection there. So in 2015, I graduated undergrad and I moved out to California, and I had my parents, I wouldn't say they wouldn't let me move to California without having a quote unquote real job, but that was basically what it was. I come from a very traditional family in a great way. I have very loving parents. They've worked very hard for what they have. So they attributed education, like once you get your degree, then you go and you get a job and you work that job and you have security and stability, and that is your ticket to quote unquote success. And that's exactly what I did. I did competed in gymnastics my whole life. I went to high school, and then after high school went to college, and then after college was like, okay, now I'm ready for my real job. And I had my heart set on California. I was like, I am moving to California. I'm living on the beach. Like, I don't care what anyone says. Like, I would have washed floors for a living if I could have moved out there. So, but I ended up getting a job actually out there and worked in the marketing department at a real estate firm. And I did like all graphic design, all sorts of marketing, social media, things like that. And I was about a year and a half in, and I was like, this sucks. Like, this is what I've been working towards, like working 50 hours a week for someone else and like no one listening to my ideas. I was the youngest one there. I had like all these ideas and all this like creativity that just constantly got, pushed down or no, or I just was like very creatively stunted. So I started seeking other options, and I was thinking maybe I need to do, design in a different field than real estate. Maybe I should do something that I'm more passionate about, like athletics. So I started looking for jobs, and there wasn't anything else that like popped out at me that was like, yes, I can't wait to apply to this job, and like I hope I get it. Nothing ever came out like that, and I was about a year into like, this was 2 years now into corporate, and I met someone. We had hired a freelancer for something, and he did videography, and I was working with him, and I was like, oh, well, who do you work for? And he's like, myself. And I was like, well, what are you talking about? I had literally never even considered entrepreneurship or owning a business ever until this guy is like, yeah, I work for myself and I charge this much and I do this. And I was like, wait, that's sick. I want to do that. And you could travel whenever you want. Like, you could do all this stuff and you make however much money you want. And so I kind of got introduced to the freelance, that kind of lifestyle or that like option. And it just became stronger and stronger until one day I just woke up and quit my job. And one thing I do want to say too is that my boss and my coworkers and the job itself was amazing. Like amazing work culture, amazing boss and management and all of that. They really were awesome. So I think that sometimes people think, "Oh, I have to quit my job because I don't have a good situation," but that just wasn't the case for me at all. So I did struggle with that because I was like, but I have a good gig, like I make decent money. I'm able to live out in California. It's like it's stable, it's safe. But that urge was just so strong. And yeah, one day I just woke up and I looked at my boyfriend, who is now my husband, and I was like, I'm quitting. And he was like, what do you mean? What are you going to do? Like, and I was like, I have literally no idea. I had no clients, I had no business plan. I had nothing. I had no idea what I was going to do. And I just, went in and I told my boss, who I had a really great relationship with, that I just was done. And she ended up hiring me as a freelancer. So that kind of started my entrepreneurial journey, which was 6.5 years ago. And since then, I've just really evolved and everything through trial and error. There has been no, plan or like real plan or, okay, I got to figure this out before I do it. It's just kind of been trial and error and figuring things out along the way. But I started from, charging $50 for a logo to now the minimum to work with us is, 5 figures. And it's been I've learned so much. Like that's such a jump, but it's been such an evolution. And I've started 2 other businesses along the way. And looking back, that day that I had quit my job did seem like a big deal, but I didn't realize how much of a catalyst for literally the rest of my life, or my life up until now, it has been. So it's kind of where I started.
That's amazing. Now let's talk about this leap a little bit more.
Yeah.
Usually people go into it with a little bit of a plan and whatnot, or maybe some savings. Did you have anything as a cushion or a runway to help you kind of launch that business and to start getting clients to have revenue coming in to pay some bills? Like, what was that
Yeah.
like?
Yeah. So I'd like to also say that I was 24. So the cost of living and like the stakes were low. No house, no mortgage, no husband, no kids. My car was already paid off. So like I think maybe my expenses were like $1,000 a month. So that really wasn't that bad. And I also lived with 2 roommates, like my boyfriend and my best friend. So before actually quitting, I did have the conversation with my boyfriend, like, you know, if I can't make my rent for a few months, what will that look like? And he was like, of course, I can help. But that was always my goal, was to be able to cover my expenses. So that was kind of the driving factor for me, was like, I want to be able, no matter what, to be able to pay my bills. So, which I never had to do that. I also did have a little bit of a savings, I think around like $5,000, nothing crazy, like, 24, living in California. I went out all the time, like, and then I was a yoga teacher. So I was making like maybe an extra few $100s a month that way. And then I also worked part time at a gallery, but like nothing consistent. So I did have some other income coming
Options.
in, but nothing substantial where, I was like building a life, because I knew that I had to I had to go all in on this, or it wouldn't work out. And honestly, after I quit stopped working as a yoga instructor and working at the gallery, was when I had my first figure month. So once I like completely let go of any sort of outside income, was when, and able to go all in on my business, was when I actually saw the biggest results.
That's amazing. Now let's talk about this whole jumping in to a business owner. A lot of times, people go in wanting to do what they love most, right? Obviously, you're starting a business because you have a certain skill set and that's what you want to be doing. But starting a business, as you know, comes along with every other hat imaginable. And
Yeah.
this can often be a huge shock for someone. So, someone at 24 years old, I don't know how much experience or exposure you had to all of the ins and outs of running a business. How did you navigate that?
Yeah, so I had no idea. I like looking back, if I can see why my friends and family were like, "Olivia, are you sure? Like, is this a good idea for you?" But when I put my mind to something, it doesn't, I can't stop. And I think that this is a true thing for at any stage of entrepreneurship, is be really careful who you share things with. Because when you're in a fragile stage of building, expanding, and you're unsure yourself, if you get feedback from someone you love that is, not supportive, it's probably coming from a place of love, but if it's not supportive, it could break you and it could really, make you change your mind. So for me, I didn't tell my parents for maybe 6 months because their opinions really mattered to me. And I knew they were going to ask me all the questions that I didn't know the answers to. How are you going to pay your taxes? How are you going to, are you going to hire someone? Are you going to do XYZ? What does your business plan look like? And I didn't know any of that. So I wasn't ready to share, that with anyone. So I literally Googled everything pretty much. I knew, and once I started working with clients and was like, okay, I don't just want to do miscellaneous graphic design because it drives me crazy that their fonts and their colors are all different and we're using different things every single time I make them something, and now their Instagram looks terrible. So let me research about branding and see what that means. And so then I started doing logo design, and then I honestly learned so much from other designers, like, okay, let's see what does their brand guide look like and what are they including in that? Oh my gosh, they're not just doing a primary logo, they're also doing a secondary logo and a color palette. And so I started, that's just I started like piecing things together, and then once I had more experience, I started making my own and started realizing, okay, these are the types of clients I like working with, or this is what I think is missing from a lot of the brand designers that I'm seeing what they're doing. And then started adding in brand strategy. And then, over the years now, we're 6.5 years in, and I have a team. And it's not just a team of designers, it's a team of, we have a marketing coordinator, we have a copywriter, and we have like this all encompassing, you know, team that we can help our clients do everything, because I've kind of like over the years realized what was missing and what I think makes a strong brand identity and business for our clients. So, yeah, I really truly was trying and just doing things and making mistakes and asking for client feedback. And I wouldn't have learned any of that if I planned and planned and planned and mulled it over, if I never just like went out and started.
I love that. Now let's talk about your entire experience as an entrepreneur, like looking through the entire high level. What have been your biggest lessons that have helped you get to where you are today?
Yeah. So if I'm being totally honest, the last like 2 years have been really tough. In 2020, I went all in, and not that I wasn't going all in, but like we scaled significantly, and we grew to a team of 6. I positioned myself as like the CEO. We were working with 50 plus clients a year on whether it was retainer or pushing through projects. And by 2022, I was one, burnt out, and two, was like, I don't want this. Like, I don't want to be managing people and clients. Like, I was so far away from the creative that we were doing in the agency that some of the projects that we were pushing out, I was so uninvolved. I didn't really even know like what we were doing day to day in them, which, to be honest, or to be clear, like that was the goal. That's what I wanted. And that's what I was striving for. And we had gotten there. And I was like, that's not what I want. I do not want to be here. And then I found out that I was pregnant. My husband and I had been trying for like 8 months, and that changed everything because I started thinking, okay, so in order to keep the business running as it is right now, and I'd have to hire. And then in order to hire a project manager, I'd have to take on this many more clients a year. And like, then we'd be operating at this level. And it was just like, that just wasn't the vision. And that's not when I really felt into that, I was like, this just doesn't feel right. So I scaled back significantly, basically from August 2022 until June 2023, we didn't take on any new clients, and I closed out, all of our projects. I let some of my team go, and now we're operating much leaner. I am way more involved in creative, and our team is smaller but more nimble, and we're only going to be working with, maybe 15 to 20 clients this year. So, I think to answer your question, was it the biggest question or the biggest mistake?
Biggest
Or the biggest
lesson.
lesson? The biggest lesson that I've learned is that it's okay to pivot, and it might look messy, and you might upset people, but in order to have the business that it's your business, I think once you start growing and you have a lot of clients and you have a team and you have people that rely on you, it can feel like, oh, well, what if I let them down or what if I do this? But at the end of the day, it's your business and you started it, and you have to do what feels right for you. And if you're not building a business that feels aligned, then something has to change and aligned with your lifestyle that you want to have. Like that pivot that I made of scaling back and, my position in the company really came from a lifestyle vision of I don't want to be working 9 to 5. Like, I just don't. I wanna work whenever I feel like it. I wanna be able to be creative. I wanna explore other things. Like I mentioned, I have 2 other businesses. I want the agency to run and operate in a very, like, calm and easy way so that I can explore other things while also, like, vacation with my family and be able to hang out with my daughter at 2 PM on a Wednesday because I feel like it. So, yeah, that's definitely the biggest lesson.
I totally get that. I think a lot of people have, or they don't align the life aspect with where they want their business to go, and they get to a certain point, they're like, oh, this is not at all what I had envisioned for myself. And absolutely, I agree. Your business is your business. You can change or pivot
Yeah.
or adjust or take away like whatever you want, right? You're the boss, and that's why you started a business, so that you can make the decisions. And it's fine if you upset people.
Yeah,
It's going to
absolutely.
happen.
And I think
It's going
so
to make
often,
everyone
like,
happy.
oh, of course. And I think when you're later, like, the further you are into your business, it's so easy to just like have your head down and be like, okay, this is what I have to do today. And this is what I have to do. And then you look up and you're like, why? How did I get here? How did I end up here? And I totally agree with what you're saying. That is like my, positioning or like mission statement with my coaching business is building a business around your life and not the other way around. Society is very much like, your life revolves around your work and your work is your main job. And then you live outside of those 9 to 5 hours. And I'm just unavailable for that. I don't believe that. I don't want to get stuck in that. And it's very easy to, but if you look at your big vision for your life and then fit your business into that, you will have that harmony of work and life. There's no true balance, especially if you have children, if you have a family, but there can be harmony in a way that works for you that, like you said, doesn't necessarily need to be what other people want, but it's what works for you.
Absolutely. Now, before we dive into your expertise, I just want to know from you, because a lot of people have now shared, they didn't quite share it in 2023, but it seems like everyone struggled with sales in 2023. Everything just kind of fell flat. The buying habits have changed, which is totally fine. That's kind of ever evolving. But throughout your experience, what have been the most effective strategies for building such a successful company?
Yeah, so knowing your numbers, like as a creative and as the stereotype of creatives, we don't look at that. We don't know. And like, oh my gosh, yay, I made $20,000. But like, where is that going? What is it doing? How are you getting it to work? And I've mentored, tons of designers within my mastermind, but also one to one. And they're making, between $200,000 and $400,000 a year and don't know their numbers. And if you don't know your numbers, you're one, losing money and losing money, and also leaving money on the table and not setting yourself up for success. So, what I mean by knowing your numbers is okay, so how much money are you making? What is the revenue that's coming in? What of that is going to taxes? And then what of that is going to expenses, and really breaking down each and every expense to, how much are you paying Adobe and how much are you paying for Dropbox, and, all, just literally all of your expenses. What are you paying your contractors? And then what of that, net profit is going to taxes? And then what are you left with at the end after all of that? And then also, what are we can get into like what you're paying yourself. But anyway, it's just like really knowing your numbers, because if you have a spreadsheet and you're able to look at that, not only do you know where you are in that specific month, but you'll know where you're going to be in 2, 3, 4 months down the line. And if anyone's listening to the podcast that's a creative, if you can then look at your capacity, how many clients you can take on, and how you can continue to generate. And we, in this day and age, having a business, we have the opportunity to run super lean. Like, our profit margin at the agency is around 70%, even with a team. And it's because I'm constantly looking at my numbers and I know budgeting wise what we can afford, in 4 months. So if you haven't hired a team member, but you're considering, having a contractor, if you don't know your numbers, then how do you know what to budget for, in what capacity, how many hours? Like, you can't make proper decisions in the business that let it stay afloat, and not even afloat, but thrive no matter what. So I love Ed Milet. I don't know, do you listen to his
Mhm.
podcast?
Oh
Okay, so
yeah.
he talks about like winter, and he's like, his latest podcast, he was saying like winter is coming, or we're in winter, as in like the tough season of business, and all of 2024 we might be there. So how you can get ahead of that is definitely knowing your numbers and knowing where you stand. And you can start doing that by just like, having a spreadsheet of like everything and all of your expenses. And yeah, you can make decisions based on that. So that would be like I would say is like my main strategy. And also, if you're listening to this and you're like, but I'm not good with numbers, like I need to hire someone in order to like get good at numbers. And I was there, and that was me honestly for like the first 4 years of my business, and I left and lost so much money on the table by telling myself that story. And once you can release that story and reframe it in a way that, like, I'm the business owner, I'm the CEO, it is my job to know my numbers and to get good at that, then you can empower yourself by learning and researching and listening to podcasts, and yeah, just reframing that story, because that's just you. If you want to have a successful business and, thrive and not have to worry about scarcity mindset or worry about money coming in or out, knowing your numbers is the first place to start.
Yeah, a lot of people make it to be this big thing, right? Where it's like this huge project and it's scary and like I'm not good at math and whatnot. But when you really like condense it down, you're basically plunking data that you're getting
Yeah.
from like your visa statement or the invoices that are coming in through Dubsado or Honeybook or whatever. You're
Yeah.
plunking those numbers into a spreadsheet where you only need to set up the formulas once and then they all work for you. That's all it
Yep.
is, really. So I think
Yep.
we make it into this bigger thing than what it actually is, and it stops us as well as obviously the stories that we tell ourselves when it comes to money. But it's a very simple thing that you need to set up once, and then you can just continue using it.
Yep, absolutely. I actually have a spreadsheet can I mention this? I have a spreadsheet in my shop. So if you go to byoliviaaustin.com/shop, I have a business blueprint spreadsheet that is the one that I literally live or die by, that has like everything and how to plug in all of your expenses. You can download that. But also, I use something for my personal money that you can totally use for business is Rocket Money. I'm sure like you've heard ads for it. And that actually works super well. And if you attach it to your like credit card and your bank statement, you'll see it will categorize everything for you. So if you're like totally allergic to spreadsheets and you're just like, I'm not doing that, Rocket Money is actually like a very good way to do it. But yes, I agree. I think that it's not as hard as we make it out to be. And if we just release like, I don't know my numbers, I'm not good at math, once you get over that, then it'll be much easier for you than you think.
Yeah. Now let's dive into your expertise. So, how do you develop a comprehensive brand strategy for your clients, and what are the key elements that you focus on?
Yeah, so our clients we work with on a very intimate, like in a very intimate partnership. So we get to know our clients really, really well. And a lot of our clients will work with us, for 12 months to, beyond. And typically, the first thing that we look at in brand strategy is we look at the goals of the brand and the business, and then we look at the target audience. And with those two things, we're then able to develop messaging and positioning statement and unique differentiator. Those are the main things that we're looking at. And then once we're able to develop that and develop like, okay, this is who we are, this is our goals for the next 5 years, or our major, like our overarching goal, which like, say for example, like we're working with a client right now to be the go-to wealth consciousness um educator for training and all of that. That's her goal over the next 5 years. She's scaled her business to multi-million dollars. She wants to teach other people how to do that. So that's her overarching positioning statement. And we look at that. And then it's like, how do we communicate that with our target audience? Who is that target audience? What do they need to hear? What are their struggles? What are they yearning for? What does their life look like? And then once we really have that down, then we're able to develop messaging and brand voice and tone of voice, as in like, how are we going to talk to them? How are we going to communicate that? Then we take all of that and turn that into visuals. And that's where the brand identity design comes in. But we don't do any brand identity design until we like get a very good understanding of the brand strategy and brand direction, so that we're then able to take all of that and communicate it visually with the audience.
Amazing. What is your process for creating high converting websites? Something that I very much recently learned is so important when somebody lands on your website to articulate well and to really speak to them so it resonates. How do you ensure that it aligns with the client's brand identity?
Yeah. So, in order to work with us in any capacity, you are required to do brand strategy and brand identity, because you cannot have a strong website without really knowing who your brand and business is. Now, I don't necessarily think that new entrepreneurs need to invest in brand identity and website design. Unless you're like a brick and mortar or, a product, then yes, you do. But if you're a service-based entrepreneur that's testing the waters, that you're still trying to figure out who your target audience is, who your yeah, who the types of services you want to offer, then just having a one-page website is totally fine. So I just want to iterate that like who I'm talking about right now with a strong website is probably someone who has proof of concept, as in has been in business for at least a year, and or feels very strongly about who their target audience is and what the services that they're offering. So we do all of everything I just said with brand strategy and then brand identity design, and we have that established so that it can then be translated online. And with websites, we have a specific structure that we follow. But again, we really we have like an overarching main goal on the website. So a majority of our clients, it's obviously to contact and book a call. Some of our other clients who are doing like courses or memberships and stuff, then the call to action, or the main goal of the website would be to sign up for the free webinar or, purchase the course, go to the sales page. So we really look at like the main goal of the website. And then we take the client on or the visitor on a journey. So, where and also having a touch point for everyone. So, like if someone finds you on Instagram and like, yeah, they don't want to purchase from you yet, but they want to download a freebie and then they're like in your community. So they're, then they get into your email list, or you want them to read a blog post and that, has them listen to a podcast episode, or they can, do a 30-minute intensive call, whatever that looks like. It's really starting with the main goal and then kind of adding things from there. But it truly
Amazing.
is unique for every single client, I think.
Yeah, I totally agree with the uniqueness. A lot of people try to mimic something that's already there and they try to make it work for them. But I think it's really important to differentiate yourself and to get somebody, if you aren't able to do it yourself, to get somebody like yourself to help them with that, because it's such an important piece of the puzzle.
Yeah, absolutely. And I totally agree. And that is why branding is so important, and brand strategy, because it's so much more than just what it looks like. If you go to a website and you're like, wow, they are speaking to me, or like, this is me, like, I totally agree with this, or like, how can I get more of this? How can I learn more? They took so much time in developing their brand strategy, their brand identity, their copywriting, their messaging in order to create a website that you're obsessed with. So really, any client that will come to us, they're like, I love this website. Like, what did they do? And I'm like, they did all of it. They like really took the time. And the goal too is like, we don't take it lightly that it's a very big investment, both in time and in money, to invest in rebranding or branding. However, the goal is that you're building this solid foundation in order to expand and grow your business. Our clients and our most successful clients come to us after years of proof of concept, of band-aiding and like having their VA design things and all of this, but they're feeling cornered and they're feeling kind of like restrained by their brand. And by the, when we start working with them, that's when we're able to like create this new strong foundation that opens the doors for them for, years down the road.
Okay. Now, aside from band-aiding and going off the flow and just kind of piecing things together, what are some other things that you've witnessed your clients struggle with?
Yeah, so I would say the biggest thing is like translating their brand identity and using it across all platforms. So, like branding is so much more than just colors and fonts. It's, when you're building know, like, and trust with your audience. So branding equals recognition, recognition equals trust equals sales. This has been the marketing trend over the last 2 to 3 years, that people want to buy from people that they know from. That's why influencers are so successful, and that's why it works for brands, because people like to see that other people are using it. And so when you have an Instagram, I'm using social media because that's usually where it starts. So if you have Instagram or TikTok and you're constantly posting, within your 5 brand pillars, and you're using the same messaging and you're talking to the same person and you're providing education and knowledge and your expertise of whatever your field is. And it's always like all your carousel posts are always in the same colors and fonts, and your reel covers are, all look the same. The more people start following you, and the longer they start following you, they're interested in learning what you have to offer because they're like, ooh, oh yeah, I know who this is. I'm definitely gonna watch this reel because I always get so much information from her. And then over time, they'll go to your website and it's the same messaging, it's the same brand strategy or brand identity. It's the same fonts and colors and photos. And they're looking at that and they're like, okay, I've been following this girl for 2 months now and I get so much value. Like, let me book a call with her. And the consistency matters. Like I literally just had a client yesterday say, I love this font too. Can I use this font for the website and then this font for reports? And I was like, no,
No. No.
absolutely not. So the consistency is what I think, because there's so much out there now. So people, they really do get shiny object syndrome. Like, oh, I love this Canva template. Like, I want to use this one. Yeah, don't do that. Just try to use what, like the stick to 2 to 3 fonts or stick to the fonts that your designer gave you, stick to your color palette, because the more consistent you are in using that, then the more recognition you build, the more trust you build, and then eventually that will convert to clients.
Absolutely agree with that. Now let's jump into another area. So, as a business owner, you have 3 businesses going. You have a little one. You're obviously, very busy. You're a wife. You most likely have friends and a social life, and you need to take care of yourself. So, there's lots going on all at once. How do you find harmony between all of these different elements in your life?
Yeah. So if I'm being completely honest, I'm in a season of literal chaos. I like you said, I run 3 businesses. So I have Current Design Studio, which is my agency, and then I also have a coaching business where I mentor creatives in to scale their businesses. And within that, I have templates I'm working on and a mastermind, and then which is launching again in April. And then I am also working on courses. And then I have an affirmation card deck called Motive Deck, which is like I would say like the lowest one on the totem pole. But my coaching business and my studio, those are like the main 2. Pretty much revenue is 50-50 with those. And we don't have childcare. So we had a nanny, the nanny didn't work out. Then we went to daycare and the daycare closed. And right now we're on a wait list to go to daycare in July. My daughter is 10 months old. I work full time from home. My husband also works full time from home, but doesn't have his own business. So I'm in a season right now where there is a light at the end of the tunnel, but it's very hard. So the harmony is, for me right now, is very, very blended. But for, I would say, like 8 or 9 months, or probably like 8 months, I fought it. I was like, no, we have to get her into daycare. We have to do this. Like, why is this so hard? Or like, oh my gosh, I'm working at all these odd hours. Like, this isn't right. This isn't how you scale a business. And once I released that of what quote unquote working should look like, it has gotten so much easier and so much more calm. And, like if mom is calm, everybody's calm. And I realized how much stress I was bringing to like my whole family basically, and like my husband specifically, because I was just like, I can't do this. So once I just was like, okay, Lila is going to be home. I it is what it is. Like am going to cherish this time home with her. I might not ever get this time with any of my other kids or with her ever again. I just need to embrace it. And, this is just what our season of life is right now. And that has been so amazing. So right now, I kind of just work whenever I can. So like there really is no like weekend or like weekday, but it just is what it is. So I just and the way that I'm able to get all of that done is I am really tight with my calendar. So I do like any client calls, they're only on Tuesdays, and I do hard stop 30 minutes unless it's a coaching call. And then I rely heavily on my assistant. So she does a lot with my product business, Motive Deck. She does a lot of like the scheduling for Instagram and the like all of that. So that kind of like runs itself. The only thing I have to do is like package that and like set and send those out. And then with my coaching business right now, that is kind of the priority because the agency does like kind of market itself at this point. So, getting clients isn't, I'm not constantly like trying to get clients, which is, I'm super, super lucky and very blessed with that. So right now it's just kind of like, what does my capacity actually look like? And typically on sales calls, if I do a sales call, it'll be like, yeah, we can start in 2 weeks. Now I'm a lot more conscious of like my time and I really have to look at the balance. So like if, developing a course and launching a course is my priority right now, then I have to scale back a little bit on custom clients. And I think that, if you're going to take anything away from this interview and this podcast, it's that, you know, there is a give and take. Like you can't do it all. You can have it all, but you can't do it all and you can't do it all at once. And once I realized that and like just accepted it, life just became a lot easier.
Yeah, you have to surrender at times.
Yeah, you do. And that, like, I was like, no, I can do it. Like, go, go, go. Like, we can do it. And then it was like, I was literally nonstop from like 4:30 to 9:30 every single day. And like, was starting to get crazy. Like, I was starting to lose my mind a little bit. And I was like, okay, I need to not be like this. And just like, things have to give and take. And that all stems from what we were talking about right in the beginning. It was like the vision, the big vision. Like my big vision right now is I want to not work so much one-to-one with clients. So that's why the like courses and that is a priority because that is what's leading to the big vision that I have of my life.
Absolutely. I love it. All right. So, after sharing all of that great insights and knowledge and expertise, let's dive into how people can work with you. What is the capacity at this time?
So for my agency for Current, we are booking about 6 weeks out. So if you want to work with us, and we do everything from brand strategy all the way through website design and development and then brand implementation. So a lot of our clients will do a creative partnership, which is like a minimum 6 months. And we basically do whatever you need within those 6 months. So our clients will start with like brand strategy, brand design, website design, and that usually takes about 2 months. Once that's launched, then we kind of do anything that you need at like an unlimited design level. So, like our clients, we work on like sales pages and magazines and social media and webinars and like all of that stuff. So, that is one way to work with us. And we're accepting clients for like March-ish. So if you want to work with us in design, I would just reach out now, and you could do a free discovery call with me. And then as far as coaching goes and mentorship, I have tons of resources for creatives. So if you go to my website, byoliviaaustin.com, there's freebies. There are templates in the template shop, like everything from ClickUp templates to InDesign and design templates to just business templates, like I mentioned. And then I am launching courses for in March for that. So if you just follow me on Instagram, you'll see all of that. And then for Motive Deck, it's just like that was just such a passion, like fun project for me. So it's really just they're actually awesome client gifts. So a lot of people will buy them for clients. And I do have a bulk discount. So if you buy 5 or more, then you get 30% off. If you buy 10 or more, you get 50% off. So like if you need unique, fun client gifts, definitely check out Motive Deck because they're affirmation cards for entrepreneurs. So they're super fun. And honestly, I'm not gonna like rebuy. So after these are sold out, then I'm done. So yeah, those are all the ways to that you can work with me. But honestly, I also have, but yeah, my favorite thing to do is just provide education and training. And I have a podcast, Behind the Design, where we have new podcast episodes every Wednesday. And yeah, just follow us on Instagram at current.design studio or at by Olivia Austin, and everything is linked there.
Amazing. Lots available to support you guys. So
Yes.
definitely check her out. I love your work. You do fantastic work and
Thank
you've
you.
built such an incredible set of businesses. So congratulations to that. But thank you so much for joining us today, for sharing your incredible insights, your expertise, your journey in the design industry, building a business from such a young age, and sharing vulnerably, what your lessons were and what your struggles were and how you navigated them in such a great way. I'm confident that, those tuning in today are going to have lots of takeaways that they can apply in their own businesses and their own journeys. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. And yeah, anyone that's listening, feel free to DM me on Instagram. I love chatting and communicating or like just connecting there. And happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Thank you for joining us today. Your presence truly elevates Love Unplugged into a home for freedom-driven women who aspire to be visionary CEOs. If today's episode resonated with you, I'd be honored if you take a moment to rate and review the show. Your feedback helps us bring more impactful conversations to our community. Let's continue to grow this empowering community together. Until next time.